Hi, Orange Girl here with another scrapbooking process video for you. Welcome if you are new to my channel. I am super excited to be a part of Audrey Yeager's Summer Scrappin video series. Today is day 7 and I will link all of her information below. I am also using a flair, several pieces of flair from a Flair for Buttons, and this will be also on their blog today. So I'm starting out with this photograph of my daughter, and this photograph was taken in a really small pool, and the idea is I'm going to actually scrap a quote that didn't happen on this day, but it talks about her and a quote that she says, and I'll explain more about that later. First, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I'm doing. I got out my Pinkfresh studio stuff. The new stuff just came in the mail from Paper Issues, and I was trying to decide what to do. And I decided that I really wanted some of these lemons, but not all of these lemons. And the reason that I chose this is because I thought they really looked a lot like sun. So I'm sort of treating them as if they are suns instead of lemons. But anyway, I think you'll see. So I just cut out an area for the top and an area for the bottom, and I'm going to do clusters in those two areas. So that's kind of the idea of this layout. So the photograph is of my daughter in one of those little small swimming pools, and she's looking at me, and it's just a great photo. And I wanted to tell this story about one day she came in. We were at home, and she was by herself in her room for a while, and then she comes in to see me in another room, and she's like, "Mom, water is my element." And I'm like, "Oh, really?" And she said, "Yes, water is my element. I took a YouTube quiz, and it says that my element, it could be fire, it could be," and she kind of goes into those, and then she says, "Mine is water." And she was dead serious and completely convinced that that is the truth. And the thing is it probably is true. If people have an element, hers is probably water, because she just loves the water. And I really wanted to get that story down. And so I grabbed a photo from this summer of her in one of those small wading pools out at her grandma and grandpa's. And I decided to get the story down by using that photograph. So that kind of gives you an idea that you can use photographs from different things to tell your story. So if you follow my YouTube channel, you'll know that story is super important to me. I don't always do long journaling, but I usually try to get as much of the story down as I can. So what I'm doing here is I went through the ephemera from Pinkfresh, and I pulled out all of the flowers basically. And I really like the color scheme, and I like the idea. It just looks so summery, and I like the blue and the orange and the yellow all together like that. I was kind of stuck there. That's why my hands were together. I was like, I don't know what to do next. I'm not sure what to do for my title. I don't know where to put it. And when that happens to me, I often go to, okay, so what do I know? And I'm just going to work on that and keep thinking. So I did know that I wanted to pop my photo up, and I wanted to put a little bit of tissue paper behind my photo because it just kind of softens it up a little bit. I'm using a super tiny photo today. I don't usually do that. I think it's only like 2 by 2 or something, but I don't know why. I actually I print my photos at home, and I printed them both off, or same photo, but I printed 2 different sizes, and I just started with this one and ended up liking it. So I think it works nice with all of the embellishments to have it that small. And since this layout is really a lot more about the story than it is about the photo, I think it turned out perfectly. So I'm speeding this up because you saw me kind of lay everything out already, and I was just trying to get all of the colors up at the top and at the bottom when I was placing those. And I'm speeding this up a lot because I'm just gluing stuff down. So you already kind of saw me work on where I was going to place things. And I did pop up a few flowers, and I'm working with 3 pieces of flair today from a Flair for Buttons, and I just kind of put those around the page. The one is yellow, and it matches perfectly, and it's works really well. It looks like it's another little sun there. And then the other 2 have little sayings on them. One says "Summer Vibes," and the other one says "You Are My Sunshine." So I also knew I wanted to add this journaling, so I typed up this journaling, and it basically just tells the story. And then the last line I wanted at the bottom, because it says something like, the thing is, it probably is her element. She's probably right, or something like that. And so I thought I would put the journaling at the top, and then that one kind of afterthought, she's probably right, at the bottom. So that was kind of my idea, and that does stay there, although I do change a few things. Another thing, this is going to speed up here really fast in a minute, because I end up changing the title. The title stays the same, but I changed the placement. I'm using the Pinkfresh letters, the letters that come with the collection, and I put this black on, and I'm like, oh, you saw me put it on, take it off, put it on, and I don't really have any black on the photo other than on the layout other than my actual typing, and I just don't like it. Usually I use a lot of black on my layouts, or at least pops of black, and I just didn't like it. So I dug into my stash, and these letters are exclusive from Hip Kits, and I don't remember when I got them, but they match perfectly. And so I went ahead, and that Y goes down underneath the letters for element, and that works for me. And I just glued it. I put a little glue behind it to make sure that they stay a little bit better. So then I'm messing around again, and I decide that I want a few more of these little lemons, and I move my journaling around there a little bit, and I cut out some lemons. I end up not using these phrases. They just didn't fit. I cut some lemons out from the 6x6 pad, and have one going off the page, and then I add another one kind of in the middle, because I had the one die cut there. I don't know if you can see it, kind of in the middle of the page to the left a little bit, and I thought it looked lonely, so I needed a couple more that weren't part of that original pattern paper, but that I could have kind of standalone. So on most of my layouts, I usually use some tangled thread. Thank you, Missy Whidden, for making me completely addicted to tangled thread. I put a little bit of tangled thread in 3 different places. I use a little orange behind this flare button, and then some of the thread also goes underneath the photo. And then I add a little blue behind one of the flare buttons and a little yellow behind one of the flare buttons. This is me going ahead and using that. I just use a cheap craft foam that I got from Michael's, and on one side there's adhesive, but the other side I just glue down with my glue bottle, and it works really well, and it's super cheap, and so I use that behind my photo, and then I'm also using it behind some of the elements on the page. Like I think I do just a couple flowers that I pop up, just to give it a little bit of depth, a little bit of something different. The other thing that I do when I'm gluing down my flowers here is I just use a dot of glue in the middle, and then I make the petals kind of come up off the page a little bit more dimension. I'm telling you, I struggled with that thread there for a long time. I went back to it. I think I cut this out, but I went back to it later and messed with it a little bit more. It didn't really make a difference, but so I decided to go ahead and glue down my journaling, and I go with the bulk of the journaling at the top, and the bottom, I have that last sentence. So originally my journaling said, one day B tells me, Mom, water is my element, and she is super excited about it. After asking a few questions, I learned she has taken a quiz on YouTube and is convinced it is true. The thing is, water probably is her element. So that's my journaling. What I ended up doing is I took out the section that says, Mom, water is my element, and I just put that as my title. So I took, so it says at the top above my title, one day B tells me, water is my element, and then I go on with the rest of the journaling, if that makes sense. So I use the title as part of my journaling, and I grabbed a letter I from those blue letters and cut them up and made quotes there because it didn't have any quotation marks. I also took a piece of I think they're epoxy stickers, I think is what they're called, and I put one of those up at the top of the page, that orange. I wanted a little splash of orange up there. And I'm adding a few pieces of a few enamel dots. And so I'm struggling here. I'm trying to decide. I decided that it needed some things on the side, and I didn't want to cut it and ruin it because I'm liking how this is turning out. and I was trying to decide if I wanted to cut it and rip it like this and add something over on the sides, or if I wanted to paint, and I went with the ripping idea. So when you see me strum my fingers, I'm usually thinking or trying to think about something. So I took a piece of this blue paper and I just am going to put that behind it and rough up the edges there a little bit and then call it done. And it is pretty much done. The only thing I do add is I do add a few splatters of paint. I'm using a couple shimmerings, colorings products. I use a Peachy Keen, which is what I'm using there, and then I use No Yoking. And that's pretty much it. Thanks a lot for stopping by. If you're new to my channel, I hope you check out some of the other things that I have to offer. And if you like it, go ahead and subscribe. If not, welcome back, and I will see you in my next video. Here come the close-ups. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thanks a lot to Audrey for allowing me to be a part of the series this year.